New cards, new me. I want to take a quick look at the new Ashen cards, and I want to kind of have this weird little rant slash discussion about why I have issues with TCG exclusive archetypes. TCG archetypes fit into two boxes. They're either the most broken shit of all time, or they're dog shit. There's no in between. Look at the dangers. Look at Spiral Double Helix. Look at Burning Abyss on release. And then the dog shit, I mean, look at Ashen. So Ashen had a pretty decent support wave. The main problem with them was that they didn't really do a whole lot outside of it. Like their overall game plan, which was to like, you know, like blow up field spells and take control of your opponent's stuff and like Raigeki the board or something like that. But that was cool in theory. In reality, Raigeki is unfortunately just not enough. Otherwise, Prankins would be tier 0. Also, destruction in fire format? You sure, bro? But first, this video was brought to you guys by Imperium Duelist. Imperium makes some of the best Yu-Gi-Oh accessories and apparel, full stop. In fact, I religiously used their cherubim oversleeves for over a year at one point. And speaking of accessories, we've come together to create the Hoppin' Around playmat. You're all my little drama frogs, and I wanted to create a piece of art that is actually some form of usable merch. It comes in two colors, monochrome and hot pink, which is my favorite color by the way, and I am in love with how they turned out, both the single and 2-player variants. Pick up a playmat, be sure to use my code Stevie10 on all products for their site for a 10% off discount, and be sure to tag us when yours comes in. But maybe these new cards will breathe some life into these zombies. So level 4 Dark Pyro, Shaman. If the Ashen City is in your field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. If you can target 3 of your Pyro monsters that are banished and or in your graveyard, then shuffle them into the deck. Then if you shuffled an Ashen monster, you can add 1 Obsidian the Ashen City from your deck to your hand. Wow. So if I have the field spell, I can add another field spell. Oh, infinite money glitch? I mean, makes sense. You want to blow it up with Veidos, and then you want to be able to do it again. Sure, that's fine. It doesn't change your game plan. It doesn't add anything to your game plan. The main issue was that not that the game plan was inconsistent or anything. The main issue was that the game plan sucked. Spearhead of the Ashen City, level 4, blah, 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 blah. If Obsidian's in the field zone, you can special summon this card, free summon, fuck it, we ball. If your opponent controls a monster of 2,800 or more attack, you contribute this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Is this not a quick effect? This is just Exiled Force. This is just fucking Phoenix Wind Blast. What the fuck? This card came out like 15 years ago. This card's older than half of you, chat. What the fuck? It's the bounce of Veidos, and that's it. Wow. Wicked, bro. I can't wait to compulse. Like, sure. Why isn't this a quick effect? And if you wanted to bounce Veidos, why doesn't it like do it when it's destroyed or something? Like if this card is destroyed, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Why couldn't it just be something like that? You know, why couldn't it just be like good? It's so penis. So poo-poo, bro. Like again, it makes your strategy slightly more consistent and like more reliable and more repeatable. The problem is the strategy kind of sucks. If the strategy was good, Prankins would be the best deck. I'm just saying. Have you read Prankins Pandemonium? Veidos, the Dragon of Endless Darkness. Level 10, Dark Pyro. Veidos plus 2 level 9 or lower Pyro monsters. Okay, so we're not making this a fucking branded, sure. Cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it with monster effects. Let me get a shout out to a Spearhead not being able to bounce this guy. But sure, whatever. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy all spell traps your opponent controls. Okay, it's Feather Duster. Pretty good. It's not like game-winningly good, but it's decent. When your opponent activates a card or effect on the field, quick effect, you can send 1 face-up Ashen card you control to the graveyard, destroy that card. You can only use this effect once per turn. So it doesn't even negate, huh? It's just Lord of the Red. This card is just Lord of the Red. Wicked. We made MST the monster, baby. If you fuse with your opponent's Veidos, it wipes the entire field. All right. Counterpoint. Have you read Promethean Princess? have you read Zealantis? The field makes all your opponent's cards pyros on your turn. Of course it's super poly. Of course everything's a super poly archetype now. Why are we building decks around the most stupid mechanics of all time? Sure, we can now super poly our opponents. Is that a healthy mechanic? Is clearing our opponent's board at spell speed 4 supposed to be healthy and good for the game? Yubel's kind of already fucking pushing it. Worse Yubel, yay. Yeah, you might as well just play fucking Yubel. At least Yubel has a real ass game plan, especially when the Fiendsmith stuff comes out, like Fiendbox becomes like tier 0. It just feels like everything this archetype is trying to do is just so, it's just worse than anything else. If you want to play a destruction deck, you could play like Fire King. If you want to play a super poly deck, you can play Yubel. It's like it's taking all the pieces of the worst of the best archetypes and just like making the most mid variant of it all, you know? Embers of the Ashen, 2 Pyro monsters. If this card is fusion summon, you can target a field spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Finally, we can add back Runic Fountain, Runic Ashen, the way God intended. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles your opponent's Pyro monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster, and if it's your turn, this card can make a wow. So it has 2 attacks. Whoa! It can hit twice. Pew! Yeah, there's a card that does that as well. Have you heard of a little card called Ultimate Conductor Tyranno? This card came out like 15 years ago. I think this card's pretty good. I'm gonna just say it. 2 Pyro material, by the way. Shout out to Super Poly. Like again, super unhealthy game design just for the most mediocre / dog shit effect. My main problem with this is you need bonfires, so it's super expensive for a mid deck. It's not a mid deck. Labyrinth is a mid deck. Tenpai is a mid deck. Don't at me. Branded is a mid deck. These are mid decks. This is just a bad deck. Mid does not mean bad. Mid means it's okay. This is not okay. This is just dog ass. Rekindling the Ashen. Place it at the bottom. Negate its effects. Wow. We made Forbidden Chalice. All right, man. It's searchable at least. It says Ashen in its name. I mean, sure. Why? They need the link one that searches the field spell. Wanna play the level 4 that searches the field spell, but only if you already have the field spell. Extinguishing the Ashen. Send 1 Dark Pyro from your deck to the graveyard, then add 1 level 5 or higher Pyro monster from your graveyard to your hand. For the rest of the turn after this card resolved, you cannot. Okay, of course it locks you. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon 1 Pyro monster from your extra. Use a monster from your hand or field. Okay, they even made the fusion spell bad. The fusion spell doesn't even super poly your opponent. Like, what's the point? If you're gonna be a stupidly broken archetype, at least try and commit to the bit, right? At least just be like, fuck it, bro. Like, if your opponent controls a field spell, or like if you control a card in your field spell zone, you can like use monsters from your opponent's field as material, and this is a quick effect or something silly like that. Why not just like go all out instead of just trying to pussyfoot around it? It just makes no sense. They're purposely designing this archetype to be bad. And it feels that way with so many archetypes, so many TCG exclusive archetypes as of late. Ashen to Endless, continuous trap card. During the main phase, fusion summon monsters from either field, blah, 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 blah. You can banish this card in 1 dark, blah, blah, blah. Wow, we did it. Okay, this is the actual Super Poly. This shit is a little toxic. This is like the actual payoff. You can ignore every single other card on this list. Just read this card. This shit is so bananas bonkers broken. And the worst part is, it's probably still gonna be shit. The worst part is, this archetype is still so ass. It's only super poly on your turn. I guess anything is on the second. Yeah, because the field spell only turn things into Pyros on your turn. Again, Konami doing its absolute best to like pussyfoot around shit. I would rather us have broken decks than forgettable decks. It's something so frustrating to see as like a TCG player where so many new TCG exclusive archetypes, we're like, yes, finally, this is gonna be playable, maybe. And then we look at like cards like Spearhead or Shaman or like 80% of the cards on this list, and it's just like, wow, these cards sure do something. Like, again, tell me what this deck does different or better than Yubel. Both decks are super poly decks. Both decks are fusion decks where you're just trying to use your opponent's entire board as material. Like, there's just nothing interesting it does. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing new. And like, if you like Dark Souls, you probably like Dark Souls a little bit less after seeing this shit. You're like, oh my god, how could Konami do this to me? I just really wish Konami gave us good archetypes. I just really wish Konami didn't try and slap their dick across our faces, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Ashened, more like Ascend. Let me know what your favorite Ashened card is and why it's super poly. Put it in the comment section down below. Goodbye forever.